Greetings and welcome back to another episode of 1320 Time Stream. And this is Alea Eternal. Okay, let's check this out. Wavespell of the Yellow Warrior, 5th day, the Overtone Sun. Let's go into our energies here for today. Yellow Overtone Sun. This is also going to be for our breath energy here, because we're going to do our breath now. Is our right elbow and our right thumb on the in-breath. Begin. Right elbow, right thumb, breathe inward. Begin. Okay. Let's sum up our little breath there for today. So let's get into it. So, Overtone Sun. So we're at that stage where we've identified our purpose, we've identified our challenge, what service it will take, and what form it will be kind of embodied in. So now we're taking command of that. We've really seen how everything is kind of being summed up, so to speak. And now we're like, okay, let's grab the reins and bring it somewhere. And so that energy is marked by the sun. And so how are we going to take that energy? Well, we're going to utilize that energy of like that illuminated constant, the sun being that like enlightenment, that universal fire, as well as if we kind of, ride the wave of that paradigm. What I mean by that is we were talking about kind of like, the warrior probing into a paradigm, and then the earth being kind of navigating the paradigm, and then the mirror being kind of reflecting that paradigm, and then the storm is kind of like the energy of that paradigm is all over the place, and you're kind of finding where you're in, finding where in the paradigm you are. And the sun here today would be kind of like enlightening ourselves from it, and that's kind of like simplifying. And so it's like, okay, cool, this whatever that is, now this could be directly related to that paradigm. Things can even shift, because those everything's here and there. And so there may be a number of different flows of energy that are happening for you, which this can go over to kind of like describe what is the occurrence of. Because I find with each wave spell, it represents a constant into kind of what's happening for us from the beginning of the wave spell onward. And this is kind of why the sun is interesting, because something may happen and then it may change, because we're also going into a different 20 cycle. The sun represents the end of from 1 to 20, and then we're also in a 13 cycle here. So we're almost halfway through the 13 cycle, but we're just ending a 20 cycle and starting another tomorrow. So there's a different end and a beginning type of energy which you may feel. And so the sun is the culmination of all of it. All the different gravities, all the different concepts are all just kind of illuminating, becoming light, becoming weightless, becoming kind of like ascended or transcended, if you will, in all of these aspects. And so, that paradigm also could very easily be reaching the kind of like ascended quality, where it's very simplified, it's easy to embody, it's easy to place, it's easy to participate in, and it's easy to inspire and navigate, as that energy rises for you. It also may have dissolved outright, like you planted your seeds in it, the warrior really helped as an ally, and now we're kind of going into something else, because interestingly enough, the warrior being that energy of kind of like the seeker, that warrior energy is going throughout this wave spell. And so it's also appropriate to think that, well, halfway through there's going to be a different energy that we're looking directly into, which can be marked very easily by the dragon, because the dragon is starting up our next 20 run. So I find it's a really interesting set of energies that we have here, and how we're embodying that. And also how that shows up in like regular life. Like, what does that look like? When we take a look at this kind of concept, we look at like, a mathematical flow, or the flow of like, symbols and whatnot. And we say, okay, I see how that mechanic, looks, but this also represents the potentiality of a complex arrangement of events and things happening in, regular life. And so that's why I'm bringing energy and awareness to these different levels of how this can kind of show up, and what the energy of the sun kind of represents as a bit of a trigger in all of this. Like, one is the aspect of the enlightenment of that paradigm, and the other one is kind of the representation of the ending of a cycle kind of all together kind of energy. And so, yeah, it sounds really interesting kind of flow today, and we'll get more into it as we share it in the oracle. So let's stay tuned for the affirmation.